Hello there, my name is Ressa Mason, and this is my media clip final project. Learning disabilities. Characteristics of a typical student with a learning disability include pronunciation difficulties and becoming distracted very easily. Some accommodations include repeating directions until clear to the student and giving written and oral assignments. Communication disorders. Some characteristics of this disorder include stuttering, difficulty understanding what is being said, following directions, carrying on a conversation, and sometimes they have a hard time building relationships with teachers, peers, and other students as well. Some accommodations would include providing an interpreter if needed and seating arrangements. I would want the student to sit closer to me so I can answer any questions and help them out when needed. Emotional or behavioral disorder. Some characteristics of this disorder include having a hard time learning and inappropriate behaviors. Some accommodations include reminding the student of class rules. I may have the class rules posted on the wall or near the board. I would also reward positives, and I would allow time for brain breaks. ADHD, Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, is a part of OHI, which is other health impairment. Some characteristics include not being able to keep still in a seat, always on the go, talking a lot, and yelling out answers. Some accommodations include flexible seating, allowing more time for assignments and tests, and ignoring inappropriate behavior. I would designate a quiet workplace for the student to work and study without distractions. As far as yelling out answers, I would give the student 3 note cards, and whenever I would ask a question, they can use their note card to raise their hand and ask the question, and then I would get that note card, and if they are positive and follow rules and do great throughout the day, they may get a reward. Intellectual disability. Some characteristics include lower IQs and difficulties with communicating and socializing and understanding new information. Some accommodations include allowing extra time for tests and assignments and giving out different information with different learning styles, such as worksheets, such as books, such as videos or audio tapes. I would also relate to the environment or real life situations, and I would read tests aloud to make sure that the student understands the test questions. Autism. Typical characteristics of a student with autism include having a difficult time socially interacting. They may have an interest about specific objects and or topics, and they're uncomfortable with loud noises or bright lights. Some accommodations would include understanding interests, so if a student loves penguins, I would include penguins into what we are learning that day. So if we are learning math, then I would have 3 penguins plus 3 penguins equals how many penguins? That's an example. I would stick to a schedule constantly. I would stay organized. I would help the student stay organized. And if I was to give out options for a worksheet, I wouldn't give out 4 or 5. I would just give out 2 so that the student doesn't become confused as to which worksheet he or she should choose. And I would eliminate loud noises, bright lights, and distractions. Traumatic brain injury. Characteristics of a student with traumatic brain injury include having a hard time concentrating. This can cause challenges in learning, communicating, and physical challenges as well. Some accommodations would include creating tests with true and false and multiple choice questions and allowing for breaks so that this student does not become overwhelmed. Hearing loss. Some characteristics include difficulty following directions, may have a language delay, and just have a hard time hearing. To accommodate this student, I would face the student when speaking so that they can lip read. If I was showing a video, I would use captions, I would create hands-on activities, and I would have what we went over every day typed up in notes so I could give this to the student. Visual impairments. Some characteristics of a student with a visual impairment include low vision, blindness, color blindness, clumsiness, and poor hand-eye coordination. Some accommodations would be allowing students to explore. I would allow the student to explore the whole school and our classroom. In the whole school, I would have them become familiar with where the restrooms are, where the library is, where certain offices are, so kind of just the important things. And I would also include the classroom obstacles such as student desks, teachers' desks, and where the coat racks are, just every little thing. I would allow them to come in and kind of feel around. And I would also allow seating near the board, and I would also describe everything that I'm writing on the board or drawing on the board, anything that goes on the board. I would see what they are most comfortable with when using any type of large print, audio, or braille, just whatever works best with them. I would also allow more time for tests, and I would give oral tests for these students. Giftedness. Some characteristics of a student with giftedness include learning very quickly, constantly asking questions and being curious, like Curious George, having a great memory. Accommodations would include fun learning environment, activity centers kind of based around just an individual in case the student gets done quicker than other classmates do on assignments or tests or anything like that. For the fun learning environment, I would include music in my classroom, just fun little songs. I would also include physical and social engagement, such as groups. I would group gifted students together, and then I would group non-gifted and then gifted students together, but I wouldn't just individualize each student. Physical disabilities. Students with physical disabilities may have difficulty with fine motor skills and gross motor skills, and they may have lost one or more limb. Fine motor skills and gross motor skills include buttoning clothes, writing, coloring, painting, anything like that, and even walking or running. Some accommodations would include setting up desks and obstacles so students can move around freely, so just having desks kind of spread out everywhere. I would also allow this student to sit near the door so they don't have troubles trying to leave the classroom. I would also allow extra time for them to get to the classroom, say if they had PE and they needed to come back to the classroom. I wouldn't discipline them for being late if they were ever late.